Well, good afternoon. Welcome back to the garage. Wanted to do another video. I know I talked about this bike some in my last video about the Shadow, but this is my other bike, 1997 Honda GL1500 Goldwing. It's an SE model. Again, I've had it about 3 years. It's a very nice bike. What can I say about it? It originally had a different windshield on it, so when I bought it, and maybe a previous rider was a little shorter, had trimmed the windshield down a little bit, and so it wasn't too bad, but I found it buffeting a little on the top of my head, so I bought this National Cycle V-Stream windshield, which is just a little taller and kind of perfect for me. I also went to go on a trip with the bike last year, and so I bought this Kiriak and luggage rack, mounted it on the back. And the way the trip turned out, I didn't even use the luggage rack, but it certainly adds kind of some chrome bling to the bike. And then I also added these little chrome bars there on the side reflectors, and that was mainly because one of them, I think it was on this side, the original black piece of plastic that fits in there had come off, so I added that back on just to cover that up and adds a little bit of trim. It's got some highway pegs on it. It's got 55,000 original kilometers. Just a great bike. Lots of storage. Both these side pouches, and this one here where I can keep extra stuff inside. So that's really handy when going on long trips. Put some new tires on it when I bought it, front and back. Did the timing belt. At that time tuned up the carburetors, so it's just ever since then it's been running just beautifully. And yeah, we'll start it up, let it warm up a bit. These are a carbureted bike. Take a little bit of choke to start. The tire right up. I usually like to let it warm up just a little bit before backing the choke off. It idles quite slow, and so if it's just not warmed up a tiny bit, it might idle itself out and stall. That's basically it. Really nice looking bike. It's get a lot of comments on it. We'll take it out here for a ride in a bit. It's been kind of a rainy day, but it's kind of stopped long enough now. It's drying off, and so I think we can get out and try it out on the highway a little bit in town. It's definitely a heavy bike, but it's really not that bad. You know, when it's heavy on the side stand, it's heavy if you're trying to move it around. But as soon as you let the clutch out and get moving, it's just another motorcycle. It's big, but it just kind of feels like you're driving a Cadillac down the highway or down the road. So it's kind of fun in town as well. Anyways, I'll shut this camera off and get ready, and we'll take it for a little spin. All right, so let's fire this thing up again. It was running before, so it should still be a little warmed up. Yeah, it's a quiet bike, the Goldwing. If you're used to that V-twin sound, this is a different sound, but well. Goldwing is a big bike when you lift it off the side stand, and if you're just wheeling around real slow in a parking lot, it takes a little getting used to, but you get used to it pretty fast. And when you're rolling down the street, you know, even in first gear, it no longer feels heavy at all. It just takes a little getting used to. You wouldn't want to start on a bike like this just because you got to get your balance about you when you stop at intersections, and how you put your feet down and that kind of thing. And but other than that, it's I don't mind driving this thing around town at all. It's kind of fun, actually. Close that sucker up. Get around this curve here. This Goldwing, this is a GL1500 88 to 2000. They made this model. These 1500s have about right around 100 horsepower, so they can get up and go pretty good even with this big heavy bike. Not a bad afternoon after all. It's been rainy for a couple days, and it was kind of drizzly this morning, but it's still pretty cloudy, and we may have some thunder showers later this afternoon. But right now is a good time just to get out and go for a little ride. GL1500 has a 5-speed transmission. I generally shift into 5th gear at about 80 kilometers an hour, which is very different than my Shadow if you watch that video. But that 5th gear just seems like it's endless once you get into it, and there's power throughout the power band. Have a look here. They're turning. These Goldwings like to dip and lean, so they're kind of fun with corners. This boxer style 6-cylinder engine seems to keep the center of gravity down nice and low, and they've got pretty nice big Dunlop tires on there, and it just likes the corner. Especially I try to be careful not to do too much, because I got these highway pegs here sticking out, and I think they're good. I've looked at it when I adjusted them and put them on, but I don't really want to bottom those out on the road too badly, so I try to take it a little easy just in case. Yeah, so like I said, with my Shadow, I'm typically driving in second gear going down the street like this, but with the Goldwing I'm right around in third, so it's a little slower speed in first, so when I'm driving around parking lots, it's actually other than the weight of it, it's almost easier than my other bike. So they're not that once you get a little bit of experience with it, you realize it's not that intimidating of a bike to ride. I mean, it's definitely big and it's heavy, but it doesn't feel like it so much. Get my visor down, all but a little crack, just to keep it from fogging up. This car in front of me is going plenty slow. Might get an opportunity to pass it here coming up before too long. Oh, that guy's doing it the hard way. Yeah, these Goldwings have got this fairing. Got lots of protection from the wind and weather. I find it's almost, if you get on a hot day, you almost wish you had a little more wind, and on cold days it never seems to be bad. It's you know, it protects you pretty good, so even on a cold day. And there's a couple little ways you can actually, that are designed into the bike and the fairing, that you can give yourself a little heat from the engine. So it's if you are a little chilly, you can give yourself some heat on your legs and your feet. Just enough traffic. Every time I want to go out and blow by this guy, there's another vehicle coming. We might get a chance coming here. No one behind me with the same idea. And there we go. Lots pickup, GL1500. It's also got cruise control, which is a really nice feature. Set the cruise on. There it is. Take your hand off the handlebar, give it a rest, or the other one. Pretty nice. Just you know, like I said with my last bike, with my last video on the Shadow 1100, I mean, that bike is fine to ride down the highway. It's smooth, it's got plenty of power, it's classic style. The windshield protects you from the wind, but so it's not really not bad. But boy, you can't beat these bikes. This is just like driving a Cadillac down the road. And it is nice if you got a bit of wind, some crosswind. This bike has a lot of weight to it, so that the wind doesn't blow you around as much. And also if it's kind of inclement weather, a bit of rain or mist and that, you're well tucked in behind this fairing and windshield, and you stay dry until you get to a stop sign somewhere, then you get wet. Welcome to Cadet, neighboring town, right next to Nipawin. Not too many people. I want to say there's probably about 100 people. That's just a guess, maybe a little bit more. But yeah, nice little town. We'll maybe turn around here. I don't want to make too long of a video. Turn around at this garage. Used to be a service station. We'll stop here a second. Car coming. And there we are. You can see it dips down nice, and you get on the throttle, and away we go. And there I am at 80 kilometers an hour. And there I am into 5th gear, which is actually an overdrive, but it's got lots of power. I don't shift down to pass vehicles. You just hit the gas and the bike takes off. Put my feet out on the pegs. Resume the cruise. And there you go. Nice and comfy. Nice and nimble, this bike. You can get out and dip pretty good. I think I said this in my last video, and it kind of makes fun of Road Kings, and actually I really like Road Kings. I might buy one day, but I always say the Road King is the Road King, but the Goldwing is the king of the road. And when you're rolling down the highway on this thing and you meet other bikes and that, it's always, you always kind of feel like you're the boss of the highway. I don't meet too many boss hogs, but you know, you're out there on a big bike, the other guys are waving at you. Anyways, another beautiful day. There's some clouds out, so it's not incredibly sunny. It's just nice weather, about room temperature weather, and probably get some showers later, but the pavement's dry. Still some flowers out now. The crops are really starting to turn. I've seen one or two that either swathed or tried combining a little bit, so we're getting into the very beginnings of harvest season. Yeah, so that's the GL1500. I don't know what much else to say about it. I guess I might have mentioned some of this before. It's got cruise control, I know I mentioned. It has self-canceling signal lights. When you go around a corner, you don't have to remember to shut your signal lights off. That's always handy, because I often forget. You feel like a moron when you realize you're driving down the street with your signal light on. Of course, it's got a stereo. It's not incredibly loud, but sometimes I listen to music when I'm cruising around, especially around town. This one's old enough, it just has a cassette deck. I don't even own any cassettes, not anymore anyways, but maybe one day I'll get some and actually use it, but I usually just listen to the radio. Got some adjustments. I think I mentioned before, you can adjust and let engine heat out in front of your feet if you want. You can also there's an adjustment, you can let natural air from outside come through the fairing if it's a hot day, a little bit, or you can change that to where it will block the outside air and direct air that has just passed through the radiator come out those vents, so that'll put a bit of heat on your shins. You know, and every little bit helps, I guess, on a cold day. Usually I end up just dressing for whatever weather anyways, so I don't use it too much. Has airbags in the rear suspension. There's an onboard air compressor, and can't do it while driving, but when you're stopped, you can adjust the air in your rear shocks, especially if you go from riding with a passenger to riding without, or vice versa. I, for the most part, have generally just kind of set it at a happy compromise and don't touch it, but some people like to tailor that just for every little difference. There's also when you are riding with a passenger, there's a little adjustment. You can adjust the tilt of your headlight. You know, if you have a passenger on, your bike's going to tilt and your headlight's going to shine further down the road, and there's a little knob you can turn and just tilt that headlight back down where it should be, and then when your passenger gets off, you can turn it back. So that's really handy, because this bike has, you know, I don't ride at night a lot. I try not to. We have a lot of wildlife in this area, but sometimes you go out for supper with your wife, and then you realize it's getting dark as you're driving back home, and so it's got a nice bright headlight, lights up the road good. I just take it a little slower. Guess I'm getting to be an old man. Usually when I'm driving after dark, I actually ride a little bit under the speed limit, just to try and have some more reaction time if I do happen to see some wildlife. Yeah. Railway Avenue, Nipawin. On the GL1500 Goldwing. Seems like you can't drive very far in this town before you run into another stop sign. It's just, I know the town's not made just for the satisfaction of motorcycle riders, but it just seems like you can never really get somewhere in this town that you can just cruise. Anyways, we'll maybe do a left turn here and just take the back way back to my place. Grass is nice and green after a couple days of rain. Everything looks nice. It's been a relatively dry summer for the most part. There we are, watch that bump there. Yeah, it's a nice nimble bike to ride, surprisingly. And I've heard that a lot about other big bikes, Road Kings, Electric Glides. I'm sure they're all pretty nice. They look big if you've never been on one. But I know the first time I drove one of these, a bike I was looking at, the guy was nice enough to let me ride it anyways. I'd be a little reluctant to do that, but anyways, I took it for a ride and thoroughly enjoyed the thing, and from that moment on I think I was hooked on the Goldwing experience. So there we are. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. Check out some of the other videos. Have a nice day.